Frank, Amanda, Chris, Cameron. I'm going to ask you guys to do something for me, and it may seem a little weird at first, but just roll with me here. If you guys could add an end credit scene to The Last Jedi, either to maybe make it better or to answer questions that you still have, what would it be?
I would add a scene where Princess Leia floats by on an umbrella and yells, "I'm Mary Poppins, bitch."
Ooh, it's a good one.
Anybody else? No.
I would have a scene where after Luke disappears, he reappears briefly to leave his metal hand. And it says,
Oh, yeah.
and then takes
Does
off
that
again.
go with him when he dies? I mean, I guess clothes do, so I guess metal appendages also do.
But never clothes.
Yeah, it's
Never
just
Right.
Any jacket wear.
Yeah, it's just the
Is
immediate
left
clothes touching the body.
Yeah.
The
But any
primary
outer-
layer.
Yeah, so if you're wearing an undershirt, that's going with you.
This is why George Lucas said Leia couldn't wear a bra.
Because there's
if
no
she
underwear
turned
in
into
space.
a ghost, right, then she just reappears a ghost in, her bra and underwear.
Which was the plan all along.
Although in both versions of Return of the Jedi, when you see Anakin come back, he's just in his regular cool clothes. No Darth Vader-ness.
He's back in his good guy robes.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when I was nice?
Well, that's what my end credit scene would be, is we cut back to Yoda as a ghost hanging out on the island, and then Luke walks up as a Jedi ghost, and then Obi-Wan shows up with some ghost beers, and they just all hang out. Fade to black.
It's pretty solid.
I would have ended the movie after the, Lightspeed suicide bomb, and then had the whole planet scene be the after credit scene.
The world's longest after credit scene.
Yes.
This will probably go against what I say in the podcast, but it's the only thing that popped into my head, and that would be a little tiny chorus of a million porgs just doing the Star Wars theme song.
Oh, I am positive that will be out by March.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to be a millionaire.
Welcome to the podcast of Two Worlds. Oh, wait. It is not just the podcast of Two Worlds. This is the final crossover of 2017 with the Nerdist School Network Nerdy Podcasts. I am joined, as always, with my co-host,
Chris Fimbres. And we are joined by the very talented, very special Timm Talk.
Oh, hey.
Gentlemen, say hello, please.
Hey
This
guys.
is Chris.
This is Cameron.
Yeah, checking in with those crazy sons of bitches. And over here, we got the incomparable Novice and Frank. Say hello.
Hey.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, I'm Amanda. Frank doesn't know how to use a microphone.
Lean Away. And this is the Last Jedi. This is it. Let's dive in. Thoughts?
I feel like I'm most excited for this podcast of all of the ones we've done this year, because this is the first movie that I feel like I don't think all of us are going to be on the same page. Minus my Chris, who's always the negative Nancy of the group.
Well, someone has to be.
Someone has to be.
Okay.
Someone has to encourage the conflict. But I feel like this is the movie that everyone is a little bit split on. This is kind of the Star Wars that has split the fan base.
Your Chris is our Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Oh.
Tied it in.
All right.
And you're wearing black, too.
I'm fine with this.
You're really
Okay,
dressed for it. Yeah.
Let me go scar up. Actually, no, I have a massive scar. It's fine.
That's true.
Not on my
On
face.
his arm.
Yeah, wait, you ever see my big arm scar?
Oh,
Yeah.
good one.
That's a good visual.
Yeah, it's great. Great.
If you guys can see this at home, it is horrific.
Yeah,
You should
it's
probably go back
monstrous.
to the hospital.
Yeah. For many reasons, I should.
Well, why don't we round robin just real quick? All right, did you like it? Did you not like it? We'll see where we stand.
I am on the lower end. I was not a big fan of it.
Which is amazing because Cameron loves everything.
I love just garbage.
This is.
I watched
really
Ferdinand
true.
after
Yeah.
this movie.
My God, what?
I saw Ferdinand too, which I thought, man, I was kind of
Welcome back to the Nerd
Ferdinand.
School Network podcast. We're going to be talking about Ferdinand.
Yes.
How is it I'm still surprised by your horrible taste every
But he
time?
didn't want a bullfight, right? Like that's.
I want that movie to be called "Just Because You're Tall Doesn't Mean You Have to Play Basketball," because that is the premise of the movie.
So just because he's a bull doesn't mean he needs to be a bull,
fighter,
A
yeah.
fighter.
He wants to be a basketball star, right? That's
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But
It
if you don't bullfight, then you go to the chop house.
That's true.
But why would any bull want to bullfight? They always die.
Honor.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
and they don't know that they die. They don't realize that they all
Oh,
lose.
okay.
What do you mean they don't realize they die?
What horrendous world
Like,
is Ferdinand
Yeah.
Do they
taking
not
place
notice their
in?
friends don't come back?
They think they're like living like a lavish lifestyle.
Oh, it's
outside
like
of
Animal
the-
House without the
Animal
political
Farm.
points.
Animal Farm.
Just kidding.
Also,
Yes, they're all in the frat house.
It's also like Animal House in
Yeah.
that there's a big being involved
Yeah.
with a big personality. I would imagine. I haven't seen it. I will continue to defend my mistake.
yeah. There's a grumpy dean trying to shut down the bullfights.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you're really just hard selling this movie to me now.
Yeah. Star Wars. Chris and I are on the negative end.
I was disappointed walking out of it. I would like to wait a few more days and see it a second time, and maybe see if I can appreciate what they gave me because I wasn't thrilled with it the first time.
Yeah. This is like the most polar. They keep touting this like the most polarizing Star Wars film of all of them, and I just didn't. I really wanted to love it. I kind of felt on the fence about it too. I was like, maybe I just need to see it again. It's really philosophical for my tastes, I guess.
it's very dense.
It's very dense.
so much.
There's a lot going on.
Was it actually dense?
Well, I think they tried to fit too much in. I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping to. So we can delve more into that later, I guess. It's okay.
Was my criticism okay? I felt like, was that all right, guys? Was that a good criticism?
No, can we do that
I
again?
saw some back and forth I saw some back and forth, and I wasn't sure if I was like screaming into this microphone or if you're okay. All right, sorry. Now Frank can talk.
You're fine, but this goddamn Frank.
Hey guys, what I thought about this? No, I was underwhelmed, and I felt like when I walked out of it, I was just like, that was it. But then a lot of people that I kind of like and respect online were raving about the movie, and I just maybe kind of started thinking like, what am I missing? And I read a lot of stuff about Ryan Johnson's intent, and I can't walk away and think that he doesn't care about the property or the franchise. I think he invested a lot. I just don't know if it came across to me as a viewer.
Well, like any human being, I found parts that I liked and then parts I kind of felt unnecessary. Like, there was a lot of cool shit. Like, there was parts of the movie that got me literally excited. The back-to-back with Rey and Kylo, that was just some cool shit to see. But yeah, it was overstuffed. But, I mean, seeing it, I don't know, in a packed theater and people just getting excited because it's Star Wars, and I think it kind of lived up. Maybe not to where our expectations were, but again, I grew up in a time where the Star Wars movies were just awful. So the fact that I got excited watching this, it's a plus.
Well, that's actually I've been reading like a bunch of stuff today too, because it's like I really wanted to see it again because I felt leaving it. I was just like I said this online. I'm just like I didn't realize that vague was an emotion because it just like I couldn't kind of wrap my head around it. But the more I'm able to process it, the more I'm able to kind of look back at it and like as a sort of cheat sheet prep, I read the visual encyclopedia book because we have it at my work.
Oh, yeah.
As I was flipping through that, I was like, oh damn, this is super cool. This is a bunch of fun stuff, and it sort of contextualized the thing because I think it's so dense that it borders on like almost like inaccessible. Like it feels like you're reaching into it and that you're just not grasping it. But I really like after kind of processing it and like reading all this stuff, like I'm excited to see it again. But I also felt the same way about Force Awakens.
I was gonna
like I
ask
wasn't
that.
conflicted, but I left feeling like I need to see that again before I have my opinion about it.
Do you think that that's their ultimate plan? Is that everybody leaves befuddled enough that they go back and they buy another ticket?
Maybe.
Because Cameron, I kind of feel like I feel like we're kind of all on the same
Yeah,
page.
that's
Weirdly
it.
enough,
Yeah. Kind of-
is that
yeah,
we're
kind of
all.
upset about that.
I think we're all kind of like. Well,
I
really,
loved it.
That's the thing is, but what's interesting is the Rotten Tomatoes of it all is 93% with critics, 56%
Wow,
with
really?
audiences.
Yeah.
lower than all prequels.
And all the critics that are writing about that take a nice special few sentences to just bash Rotten Tomatoes, and they're like, "But this is a discussion for another time."
no,
which is funny.
it's really just interesting because it's the reverse Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Where it's like all the critics are like, this is fucking wonderful, and they even pointed out like Cinema Score, which like rates it like right after you like see it. Like they have those people, then they just ask your opinion for it. It got an A, but that's also not unimpressive. A lot of movies get that, but like initial response was like that people liked it, but then you see 56%. And Rotten Tomatoes are like, well, I don't know what the hell people are thinking about it.
I'm interested in another like real quick poll, a real quick roundabout. So did everybody saw The Force Awakens? All right,
Yes.
real quick, what did you all think of that? Because I think this might have an impact on what we thought about this movie.
I loved Force Awakens.
I also loved it actually.
I did too.
I was irritated by it.
Okay.
It felt too much of just a rehash of things I'd seen before.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I liked it. Kind of pumped new juice into everything, but I left with just as many questions this movie.
Yes.
Which I felt like a lot of those first ones should have been answered in this one, or at least a new piece revealed that kind of puts the puzzle
I wanted
together.
to bring that up in a minute.
Yeah, I liked Force Awakens.
Okay.
I don't know, but this is a tricky movie.
I feel like I was gonna say it feels to me like the people who really dug Force Awakens were kind of like, with this one because we liked the mystery and we like wanted those questions answered, and the answers to some of those questions in this movie were like, "Fuck you, it's not important."
Yeah.
But also,
So,
like,
but I don't know.
but ultimately, I'm happier with where the world is positioned and what was said about this world in Last Jedi than Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Because Frank's right; it was entirely a rehash of everything we had seen before, just same shit, different day. Basically, new people, same stuff, and this was really just pushing it. And it, like the thing I really, really loved about it is it like returned it to like its mysticism roots. Like there was with the Force, zero science, zero sort of that. It returned it to its like mystic roots, and I really liked that. I really dug that, and because you forget that Star Wars is a fantasy, not a science fiction film,
Yep.
and someone like J.J. Abrams, I feel, misses that. And that's something that I feel like you can see in Force Awakens, that it is a little bit more like a tech-heavy, bordering on like kind of prequel looking at the tech.
No, I think that's totally fair. For me, with The Force Awakens, I feel like I don't know if there's really much of a better version of that movie out there. Like considering the work they had to do to bring everyone back on board after the prequels and like the setup they had to do, I feel like that's more or less about as good as we're gonna get. I feel like this could have been a lot better. I think that's my big criticism of it. Like they didn't have to make this movie, but they did.
I was missing a twist. There was no twist and no reveal in this movie, and for me,
No.
that's something that I love about
The
Star Wars.
twist was lightsabers are now going to be broomsticks.
Yeah. I didn't even. I don't know. I thought there was some cool stuff done, and I would see it again. That's why I think it's like they're tricky. They make you see it twice. But like I was kind of missing that. There was no like Luke, I'm your father moment or anything similar, And I don't know. I don't even know where to start, guys. This is so dense. This can't be like a 4-hour podcast. So I want to just like dive in.
I'm very curious with the like reveal thing. Nowadays we have so many outlets to theorize, and we have so many other shows that kind of
It could have been ruined.
with Game of Thrones. Yeah, we have so many skepticisms and theories out there that I wonder if Rian Johnson just like, you know what? Fuck it, we're not going to deal with any of that. Her parents, they're just alcoholics. They sold her for alcohol. Snoke, we're just going to do something else. He was just like tired. They couldn't think of something that could have that Vader moment because everyone was expecting the Vader moment. So they
Right.
just went the complete opposite route.
I'm glad they didn't do it for the sake of having one. I just kind of wish that there was something that still would have fit in with the universe that would have been satisfying like that. I didn't feel as satisfied or as satiated by this film. For me, it was a number 2 in a three story arc. It was like, all right, well, here we have lots of information and we're not really going to get a lot of resolution. So I don't think it was bad in that way. I just think it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's about what I paid for, I guess.
That was reading. I don't know if this was quotes or the writer's thoughts on it, but it was kind of like talking about how the Luke, I am your father, or I am your father moment.
Thank you for
is
correcting that.
yeah, I know. No, I am. It's that
Magic
in that
mirror.
moment, that's the worst thing Luke could hear. He is faced with evil, the man who killed basically his surrogate father, murdered him in cold blood. Luke saw it.
Called the order to kill his actual
Yeah,
parents.
killed his
no one
father.
cares about
And the worst
them.
and
Like,
the worst thing in that moment when he's faced against what is in the movie and Luke view as pure evil, he's told, "I'm your father."
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing Luke can hear. And for Rey, she has this immense power. It's just like unchecked, like insane, like savant levels force connection. And so she's expecting, well, I must be a Skywalker. I must be this. And the worst thing for her to hear in that moment is that, no, you're right. You are nothing. Your parents are nothing. They kicked you out. Like they saw you as less than their addiction, that they sold you to feed their addiction. You're nothing. You're right. And so in that sense, like I feel like we're expecting a twist that's a twist, but we're actually like what we want is something like the big dramatic moment, or what this movie is all about is not the twist, it's the big dramatic moment.
Yeah, I guess for me, even though the big dramatic moment, because I actually thought the way you presented it is so interesting, because I agree with you, but I think that's such like it's also such a pessimistic, and I think it's realistic, but for me it was like, you had it inside yourself the whole time. Like, you didn't have to be a Skywalker. You know, it's like, that's kind of the way that I read it, was this more like Disney princess. By the way,
If
this
you
for
dream
me
it,
was
you
the
can
most.
do it.
Yeah, this for me, mostly because of like it should have been like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Star Wars. Am I too loud? I'm sorry.
no, I have sensitive ears.
There were so many just like, but I think because of all like the beasts and stuff in it, for me, this felt like a Disney film more than like. And I know it's an easy thing to say because of the way the company's changed, but I'm like, I felt like I was watching Disney fantasy sci-fi.
Well, they just had so many close-ups on sad faces, like cute sad faces. Like they had maybe 4 or 5 of them in there. It's like, well, you didn't need that close-up on the sad face.
Yeah.
It's
Even
like,
the
oh,
porks
do-
were so
do
sad.
you feel for me? Like, come on, now you didn't need
And even-
all of them.
That combined with the jokes, with the humor element to it,
The
it felt
humor
very
was odd in this. Like, I thought that the jokes landed on their own, but they did not work in the broader tone of and not only broad, like comedically, like just the general tone of the thing was more serious, except for these like weird spikes of comedy.
Star Wars has never been as naturally funny as it is in this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's genuine humor. Like the Force, the tickling with the leaf is like, that's the Force. Like that's like
Yeah.
a genuine comedic bit, and that's never really seen in these films.
it's more laugh it up, fuzzball. That's
Yeah.
that's your
Yeah.
comedy. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole, you know.
Because it was funny. I'm just like, but I didn't feel like that. It didn't work. Like even like the opening thing with Poe, like, oh, like, can I talk to General Hux? Oh, I'll just hold, that sort of thing. Like I'm laughing, but looking back, I'm like, well, that's a really bizarre way to start this. Like that just feels tonally out of place. Like they are literally evacuating for their lives.
I think they use that to set the tone, right? They use that to be like, heads up, there will be humor.
Yeah, but it just but at this point, you know, we're so far into this. It would be, I don't know. It's too much of a departure, I feel like.
You unintentionally brought up something that I was very jarred by from the start, which is this is the first Star Wars, besides Rogue One and Into New Hope, that picks up immediately after the previous one. There's always a time jump.
Yeah.
And this was like disconcerting. I just had like, oh, they're evacuating from what I just saw in Force Awakens. And Rey, literally, we're going to see the next second of that scene.
Yeah.
Which is also a comedic moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and that I feel like was one.
I never
of the
thought I'd be
problems.
mad at comedy.
Goddamn comedy. No, like that was my problems. I think with The Force Awakens was overall I really enjoyed it, but I didn't like that it ended at such a point that we knew exactly where we had to pick up. And I thought that they did a decent job here, going on a diversion. Like I was even thinking, like, how the hell do you even start in space? These movies always start in space. And I think they did a decent job of doing that. But again, yeah, we then cut straight to Rey, and I wanted breathing room between movies. Like that's kind of the fun thing, is that stuff always happens, even between Empire and Jedi, which I think is arguably has the shortest time gap between any of the movies.
It's like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, even that still feels like stuff has passed because like they set up this whole elaborate plan and we're kind of catching up with them. And I would have loved to see that.
When like
here.
Luke shows up in like his black outfit,
Yeah, we feel
looking
like
super
stuff has
badass.
happened. Like
yeah.
while things have been on screen, there's been growth between films, and here they're like, well, we're just gonna skip all of that.
Well, I think the timeline within this film is also a little disjointed, right? Like you
Yeah.
feel like Rey is training for months, but that everybody else is. It didn't feel like that to me. That the time had elapsed for everyone else. It just felt like she was undergoing training.
These
for
two
X amount of time.
movies have taken place over basically 3 days.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
Oh,
I
yeah.
hadn't thought about
It's
that.
really
That's
true,
yeah. That's kind of insane to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has been 20. Like Han hasn't even been dead 12 hours at and he's like still like Kylo Ren's still, and then his uncle dies like 24 hours later.
yeah.
Like it's a really like this expedited pace just feels really weird.
Yeah.
Do you think then that there's going to be a bigger gap between this and the next one?
I feel like there has to be, especially with Carrie Fisher passing. There
Oh,
has
yeah,
to be
an
some gap.
explanation, Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, since there's literally one rebel ship left, they can't really use the excuse of like, oh, Leia is gone to go recruit more people. I mean, I guess they can't use that excuse, but
And they've also set up the antagonist, the First Order, up differently than the sketch class going on next door. If that's bleeding in,
Damn it.
The Empire feels like the classic kind of like recurring TV show kind of villain. Like it's just like always the fucking Empire showing up, and the rebels we gotta leave our base, we gotta do that, and all this stuff. And this is a very much more personal, much more direct. Like I do think there needs to be a time jump, but it's also like these guys were hunting them down like dogs, like from movie to movie. And so for them to, I don't even know how they'll be able to like get out of their like sight for 3 to 4 to 5 months.
that's true.
And so it's just weird, like the relationship between the two opposing sides is much more intimate this time, and thus makes it a little bit harder to jump ahead in the story.
I also feel like in comparison to like the two current factions versus the rebels and the Empire, like we felt like in the old movies that those were two well-established organizations. Like the Empire had obviously been around forever, had their power spread throughout the galaxy. Its presence was felt everywhere. But also the rebels felt like they were a really cohesive unit, even if they were always on the outskirts and if they're always struggling. Here, I have no idea what sort of influence the First Order has. Like they took out the Republic, so are they now the ruling body? Is that technically considered like a military coup? And then the Resistance is now just like a handful of people who are just like a minor nuisance to them. It doesn't feel like these organizations have the same sort of like power and influence and I don't know, it's not like prestige or clout, but just like capability as the other two. Like they seem much less significant.
Yeah, because how many ships does the New Order have?
I don't know. I mean, I guess
Because they made a big deal about that suicide bombing, but then at the same time, I feel like they might have like a dozen more of those new ships. What are they called?
Dreadnoughts?
Thank you, dreadnoughts.
Oh, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, because then it's immediately overpassed by the whatever you call it, the sanctuary or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Not sanctuary. That's Thanos's.
Sanctuary 2
I
is
just
what I
think.
agreed with you. Like, yeah, that's what it's called.
But no,
sounds right.
that thing's
Yeah.
like I was reading it. It's 65 kilometer in universe. It's 65 kilometers wide. That's where Snoke like lived. He had no like the First Order doesn't even have a planet. He's just running around in that thing. And it's so big that they like fix Star Destroyers. Like that's how Finn knew about it, is because his Star Destroyer fit in there to do repairs like it's an auto shop.
See, that's even to me that's weird. That's a weird notion that even the First Order, which is supposed to be this powerful, is also this weird. Like they're like seems like they're about the size of the rebels almost, like back in the original movies.
Yeah, and it seems like it's literally everything they do is huge. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
Like this giant Star Destroyer, the Star Killer base, Snoke's
And-
like he's like 9 feet tall.
Where do all these things come from? I mean, I guess the weird sort of explanation here is that it's just like, oh, it's like war profiteers have given this to everybody, but like they don't they don't feel like they should have an influence anywhere because they're so small.
I mean, maybe that's the answer. Now that maybe Snoke was the key, and now that he's gone, we'll start seeing the players play out in the 9.
Because that's what we need is more characters.
We need trade disputes.
Yeah,
We
we
need to
need
go full
trade disputes.
prequels.
We need more time in Casino. We need to save some more horses. I think most.
Can we
important.
see
Horse
the casino on Camino?
Well,
That's where I wanna go
That
back to.
entire subplot was just to have that kid at the end. Like that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't play. They failed their mission. And yeah, you got some Phasma scenes, which again, I think Phasma got shafted.
Oh, totally.
Do you think she's gonna come? She has to come back,
No,
right?
that's a pretty definitive dead.
God damn
right
it.
there. Like you
That's-
fall down.
I feel like they should.
That's
They
2
should
movies
bring
she
her
got.
back.
Ah.
But when you fall just into the flames like that, that usually means that you're
Yeah, I
you're
think-
dead.
Do
think
they
you're
just not
gone.
know how to like handle like those kinds of villains?
They called Ryan Johnson called her the Kenny of Star Wars, like from South Park, and they've said like
so that means
it's-
there's a chance of her coming back.
Well, sort of like they've said like the two things that J.J. Abrams can reverse is possibly the parentage reveal and Phasma. Like those are two that they've said like J.J. Abrams, whatever he's doing, the door could be open for changes on that. But yeah, so maybe Phasma will come back bigger and badder, one eye showing.
Yeah.
It just feels like she's like gonna become the heir star. If you guys have read Peacher, how just like over time just becomes more and more mutilated and just more and more upset and like focused, and she'll just become obsessed with Finn, trying to destroy him. It'll be fun.
I don't know. This is such a. I feel like this is something that I don't know. I think I'm alone in this opinion. I did not leave The Force Awakens and think to myself like, I just want more Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't do it. He is so frustrating for me to watch. He's so, I think like the actor himself, but also like the way that he was directed is so out of place for the world. I feel like his emotional response to stuff and the way he carries his emotional weight in the movie feels so out of place to me. And every time I'm like, I don't care about you. Like, I don't care. Go back to Rey. Go back to anybody. Like, I don't care. And he was such a huge part of this film that, like, I was bummed at the end of The Force Awakens. I'm like, oh, he's going to be the villain still? Like, I don't like him.
How old is he supposed to be?
42.
That sounds about right.
It's either 42 or 16.
Because he acts like a teenager.
Yeah.
He's so brooding.
Yeah.
And just obnoxious. I just want to punch him in the face and tell him to get a job.
You want to speak on the mic, Amanda?
I project when I have a point to make. That's
Still hear
the
it loud and
difference
clear.
between you and I.
I do agree with you. Like I think I maybe even liked him a bit more in The Force Awakens than here. But
Because at least he had like comedic moments in like his anger was the comedy in Force Awakens. Whereas
Yes.
here, like the first scene you see him in, he does have a little tantrum, and that's just gone. That's
Yeah.
like you never see that side of him again.
what I will say though is I'm glad. I think they did make.
I take that back. You see it at the end.
Yeah. Like they
In my
did
post-credit
do-
scene.
God damn it. They did do one thing I think better than the prequels. I think one of the problems with the prequels is we never had a through villain. Right? So they kill off Maul in episode 1 and then they bring in Dooku, and I love Christopher Lee. I fucking love Christopher Lee. But he is not a Darth Vader, and he's barely around in Revenge of the Sith. So, like, there's not a through villain. At least here they have that. I agree that they're not like doing the great job with it, but I'll at least give them credit for being a little bit more consistent.
I think they were so focused on having every protagonist have an antagonist, and I think that's why I feel this movie is so
yeah.
dense. Because even like I think they even tried to make Hux the opposite of Poe, and they're not even on the same like. I think with Carrie Fisher gone, they're gonna move Poe up to be and with them killing Lady Jurassic Park,
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern,
Got this.
which I don't think she should have died at all.
Vice Admiral Haldo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think
Purple hair.
with Lady Purple Hair. I think with her gone, Leia kind of fading in the background, Poe is going to have to be the leader that's going to have to stand up against Hux, and that is probably going to be a plot point in the next movie. But then focusing on Rey, Finn and Phasma, and Rey and Kylo, and now we have Rose, and Rose is probably gonna have some like engineer person. There's gonna be a hack off in the next
Even
movie.
BB-8 has an enemy, which
Yes.
is so dumb.
Fucking toy sales.
Ah,
I have that toy. In my home.
it's your fault.
BB-9E.
Yep. Yep. And he's supposed to like follow you around.
Do you
And-
have
and
do you
just,
have
like, report you
the
to
trash
the-
can that'll go over your BB-8? Because I'm amazed that's not for sale yet as like an
It should be
accessory
at
to the
any
Sphero
time.
toy.
Oh, it's still gonna happen.
But I think if you look at Kylo Ren think more about him as Ben Solo. So he's kind of extension of the Skywalker family.
Yeah,
So then you can just see that all the Skywalker males, they suck.
that's true. They're whiny.
Yeah,
They're
whiny, they're
historically
petulant.
whiny. Yeah.
So much have an issue with him as a character. I think that him being a Solo, I think the Ben Solo thing is actually really smart, really interesting. I think that's a complex thing. I like that. I just don't like him. I don't love the actor. When they first revealed him in The Force Awakens, I was like, ugh, Adam Driver. Like, and I don't even dislike Adam Driver as like a general person or thing or anything else that I've seen him in. I think he plays that well. When they first revealed him, I was like, I laughed out loud in the theater, and I wasn't the only one. And so I was like, okay, we're all on board, but like, let's see where this goes. And it wasn't terrible, but when he came back and he had such a big, I'm like, he's the big bad. The whole, I don't like
Well,
it.
in your defense, in The Force Awakens, when he takes off his helmet, there are two ridiculous things. One is that his hair looks that good, and two is that helmet would fit over those ears.
I will say that Adam Driver, is part of one of my favorite SNL sketches because of Force Awakens.
Oh, that is
the
a really good
undercover
sketch.
boss,
Yes.
where Kylo plays the tech.
Yes.
I will say, I feel
That's
like
where he should be. He
But
should
yeah,
be
but
That's the
doing that in the
statistic by
movie.
which we should measure all Star Wars movies. Is does it spawn a good Saturday Night Live sketch?
Yes.
Or in the case of Mark Hamill, a good Muppet Show.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Because that was one of the best Muppet Show episodes. I want to throw in my dig on Adam Driver real quick, and that's like the whole. Because I take the opposite stance of you, Amanda. I really dig Kylo Ren and Adam Driver as him, and especially in this movie. But the whole time, like I'm just expecting him to go like, Hannah, come on, like, what are you doing, Hannah? Just look, I'm trying to run the galaxy. Go on, like. I'm just always expecting that, especially with like when he takes off the helmet with the perfectly coiffed hair.
Yeah.
What do you okay? So what do you find so appealing about him? What do you like about him? Because I like that the dark side. One thing I think is interesting about this movie is that you don't have light and dark. You have shades of gray, which I think is interesting to explore that a little bit. And you had that anyway with Darth Vader. You know, you saw the good in him. So there's little like glimpses of that. But I think this movie in particular really focuses on the Force is not just for Jedis, it's for everybody. You know, they don't own it. And there are shades of like light and dark, and you can pick one or the other. It doesn't control you. So I think there's some interesting thematic things. I just don't, it doesn't justify Adam Driver.
I don't know. He's just I feel like he's lying to himself about so much. Like he's clearly so in like he is stuffing everything down as opposed to Darth Vader who just gave it all away. He's but it was also like he's actively choosing all the different like he's choosing the opposite choice that Darth Vader made when he was on this path, but still ultimately ending up in the same direction as him. Like it's just like, oh, fuck my master, I'll fucking annihilate him now, as opposed to like saving my son. Like I'll just kill him off now. I'll reach out to Rey in a genuine, meaningful
Hey,
sense.
you up?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I was shipping them hard.
I
Like
think
I
a lot
love
of
my
people
fate.
were.
Just the scene. We've never seen we've never seen a romance done like they do it with them. Like it's a very tentative. But just when Luke
Think
walks
about the
in,
hate sex.
oh yeah, it'd be amazing.
Oh, I am right now.
Yeah.
It'd be with the new Planet Killer. But I just loved that just quick moment where they're touching hands and Luke walks in and it's like a dad catching his daughter with a boy. And just like I love that little moment, but just like the fear because of all the larger things that have it. I don't know, like I think I like Kylo Ren because I know he's Ben Solo.
But I feel like my issue with that is like J.J. Abrams came in like I think he joined. We joined the story too late. Like I had no investment in Ben Solo, Kylo Ren from Force Awakens. I feel like all the interesting stuff was stuff that happened before the film started. To see the deterioration of his relationship with Han and Leia, to see him get swayed over to the dark side. We were only told about this, and so it just like even sets up like Han's death. Just as I feel like is one of the least well executed deaths in the whole franchise.
It's another one of those, okay, you think this is going to be answered, you think that we're going to show you, but yet we don't. We got a little bit of him kind of turning, Kylo turning on Luke, but I didn't see any of the Knights of Ren. I didn't see like his group of followers. I didn't see him slaughter everyone.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you could have shown him going through his training and the darkness starting to seep through, as opposed to just kind of creeping on him while he sleep.
I think that's one of the big problems going from The Force Awakens to this is that The Force Awakens was setting up all these mysteries, like who are Rey's parents, who is Snoke, how did Ben have this falling out, and then this time around, they just didn't answer a lot of those questions.
They didn't give a shit
well.
about him.
They didn't give a shit about him, and I think, but part of the problem is they shouldn't have been setting up those questions in the first place. Like Rey's parentage should never have been a mystery.
J.J. Abrams loves a good mystery,
And that's
but most of his
problem.
mysteries are bad.
That's true. Yeah, well, because you look at the original Star Wars, part of why I think that reveal about Vader being Luke's father is so impactful is you're not expecting it. There's no foreshadowing. There's never a question of his parents. We know who his dad is, and we've heard these things about him. So we're also kind of devastated. It's not a mystery. It's like a slap in the face that no one is seeing coming. Whereas here, it's like, well, who are there was never gonna be a good answer to that question, no matter what. It's either gonna be super contrived or super pointless. We got the latter, but it just. And this is going to sound strange, but I actually feel like what this franchise is missing right now is a George Lucas.
True, because they didn't plot out the whole trilogy in one setting.
And
they're letting each director kind of carve it out himself.
And I think that's a big problem. And I've said this before, that I think in general Star Wars has been better the less Lucas has been involved. I mean, hands down the best Star Wars movie he neither wrote nor directed, but he was there. He had the story. He saw where it was going. And the problem here is exactly they handed off both the writing and directing to someone else entirely for this one. They're going to do that again in the next ones. That's why it feels so choppy. And this, at the end of this, I felt like this was inconsequential. Nothing happened in this movie that's really going to make a big damn difference between The Force Awakens and whatever.
J.J. Abrams has in case of emergency break glass sort of option. Because it's also what I was going back to that. It's just I don't know what JJ's doing. That was Ryan Johnson said that in interviews.
Yeah.
After screenings, I don't know what JJ has planned, with Carrie Fisher, what he's doing with that, what he's doing with maybe he'll bring back Phasma. I don't know. So it's just, you're right. It is something that, but it's also, that's what makes me excited about his trilogy after this.
I'm not excited now, actually. Because I really like Ryan Johnson's work. I really like Star Wars, and I thought that pairing was interesting, and I was excited to see what came out of it. And I don't think he really nailed it. I feel like even the tone was weird, and I don't know. I'm actually very skeptical about a Ryan Johnson Star Wars trilogy now.
I think I'm willing to give him more credit on that because he can plan the whole thing out himself. He doesn't worry he's taking the baton from JJ and kind of figuring out what he set up to do his own thing, and then we'll see. I mean, if JJ kind of does a 180, the way that Ryan's kind of just casually tossed away some of these what seem to be important story points and cast them away, then JJ comes back and says, "Nope, tricked you again. They were really important."
Yeah.
Then I feel like, well, then
I'm ready for what they did with Maul in Clone Wars, where Snoke is going to come back with the spider legs.
With robot legs.
I will say, for me, probably my least favorite thing was the really slow pursuit of the.
You don't casually just gliding through space?
Oh man, it's
You
like that.
fuckers have light speed. I don't want to see him slowly crawling, unless it's slowly crawling over the entire giant ship.
Well, I feel like that made it a good. That's a good episode of a TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
But as a main thrust of one of your plots of a film, oh man, that was just for me really dull.
They showed. So I was talking about the encyclopedia. They show a map of the galaxy and show where planets are and everything like that. And it shows the very minuscule path that they take. It's this whole full page. Full 8.5 by 11 page of the galaxy, and they travel half an inch. Yeah. And so it's just they just inched by through it. It was an interesting.
And they were still supposed to be going fast, because that was the thing of we can't. They're just out of range, and they're going fast enough that we can't. Even if we go 1 mile faster,
That's hyper. They went as fast as they could before hyperspeed.
Actually, hang on. A point on that. So if their ships are fast enough to create that gap, that means that no matter what, the Rebel or the whatever the fuck they're called are moving at a faster velocity. So over enough time,
But they're running out of gas.
But the running out of gas doesn't slow you down.
That's true, yeah.
You
But
stop when you run, but you keep going. So
There's still no gravity to slow them down.
yeah. So like they actually like if they were doing that for like a day, eventually they just would have passed them. Like they would have just gotten away.
I mean, I need charts in front of me.
All right, bring me a whiteboard and a calculator.
I just don't know why they didn't just like jump ahead in light speed and then just be right there waiting for them to come right to them. But the whole time they just stick behind them and slowly pursue them.
What's the shortest distance you can go in light speed? Can you just like
Well, I mean, you could be pretty
if
precise.
you're stuck
So-
in traffic, can you
Han
just
was
jump
able
in front of the
to-
car in front of you?
Was able to exit light speed inside a planet's atmosphere.
That's
so
true.
You can like get pretty. Maybe he's
Stops
also
at a
amazing,
dime.
So yeah, but only he can do that actually.
Yeah,
So I guess it would be like
Ray probably
just,
can too.
just
that's
the
true.
moment that the stars become like those,
Lines.
Yeah,
yeah.
you punch it back down. Is the farthest you can
Just
go.
juke
like,
them out. Yeah.
Psych. That's what they should have done.
Turn around.
That's what they should have done. They should have like, all right, let's jump to hyperspace, and then they fucking go like jump, and then they jump, and it was like, psych. We didn't.
I will say I found Finn's character arc in this film to be a dud. What kind of repetitive
pointless?
from the last one. But I also feel like when he first wakes up and he's walking through the ship with his like squirting.
He woke up so
suit.
fast.
He woke up so fast, but like nobody like stops and goes, "Oh, hey, let's get you out of that suit."
Oh hey,
No,
war hero, we all know who you are.
He just keeps
Maybe we
walking
should
through a whole
stop
ship.
you.
I mean, people are slipping. I want to see people like
But also-
sliding in the back on that fluid.
How did Rose? If this is all taking place like over like a couple days, how does Rose already have this hero worship?
Scuttlebutt, just rapid scuttlebutt.
Like
Yeah.
they
She's
are a
the-
bunch
she's-
of
I mean,
gossipy
She's
caddies.
the only one on the ship that knows what he looks like.
Yeah.
She's literally the only one. Everybody
true.
else is like, a patient, and they just keep going about their day.
Oh, it's the one black guy in the
yeah,
United States.
exactly.
Is that Lando? Oh no.
No, sorry.
Oh.
And Rose, that brings up a great point of yes, Finn's storyline wasn't great. They just needed an excuse for him to get on the ship. Rose had an even less important role because she didn't even do her job when they made it onto the destroyer. She got caught, not the destroyer, whatever the thing is called. The what? The dragon.
No, that wasn't the dreadnought. The dreadnought was the thing in the beginning. What was?
No, it was another. There was another one.
The big ship. It's Snoke's. It's
Yes,
Snoke's
Snoke's
ship.
ship.
No,
not a
Snoke
dreadnought.
ship. Okay.
And
Snoke
the
ship.
Guys,
dreadnought
this is a Star
is-
Wars podcast. We must be
The
pedantic.
dreadnought is the one. Is the thing that
That Poe destroys.
And
no,
Rose's
not
sister.
yeah. What's her face? From Iron Fist. Colleen Wing.
Wait, that was Colleen Wing?
Yeah.
No.
That
Wing the
was
sister?
yeah.
What?
That's Colleen Wing.
Oh.
She's it's the same female pilot from Force Awakens.
I don't think it.
I think it is.
Alright, I'm looking
I
this up. I
think
brought my
that's
iPad.
Rose's sister.
Someone
is
has a
Colleen
tiny
Wing.
computer that he's going to look it up on.
Oh, he's gonna get tiny answers.
Tiniest.
Let's since we're circling around it, my man Admiral Akbar got done dirty
Off screen.
Yeah.
off screen.
Off screen.
Hey.
Where apparently he said it's a trap before they blew him up. I think that's just like bullshit. If they did it, I feel like it's even more bullshit that they even tried to squeeze that in.
It should have been, oh shit!
Yeah.
That should have been the last one.
What they should have done, like, as you say it, I've said it too many times.
And that's what Nib Nib says.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that he can say.
Is
in
that
English.
Nib Nib or is that a Nib Nib? Like, I don't know what race
It's
he
probably
is.
just another one of their race.
Is that? Ooh, here's something hilarious that I learned. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in this movie as the alien who rats out Finn and Rose.
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
And he's the same race as the alien, not Nib Nib, X-Wing pilot who dies in the trench run of Force Awakens. And there's another one of those aliens, and they're all pun names on Beastie Boys songs.
Oh, that's
that's
right.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
So there's a whole race that are just puns of Beastie Boys songs
Oh,
as their name.
By the way, that is not Colleen Wing. Not what's her Jessica?
Ooh.
What's the actress's name?
Um,
Jones.
This
oh,
is
just-
like Veronica No, so it's not.
I thought
don't
why
know.
the hell did they recast her? Because that seemed like it
Couldn't
was,
afford her.
Yeah, you got to pay that
They-
Colleen Wing money.
They burned their budget on the porgs.
Wait, so, okay.
I was happy. I will say this about the porgs. I was happy that they were porgs and not porg.
Yes, I was
Oh, me
confused
too.
going
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the movie, and I'm happy they answered that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was like, all right, Chewie got his little buddy
Is that
to
its
make
name
a,
or its race? Yeah.
That would have been annoying as fuck.
Yeah, I thought like from the trailer, I thought it was because I thought we were gonna get a time jump. That I was like, all right, he got Porg to deal with Han Solo's death, but then the reveal of the race, and that was a funny moment too, where he's trying to eat one of the Porgs as
That-
all the Porgs are there.
I think that minus the light speed attack, I think that might have been my favorite scene.
Yeah,
Is the sad because that was the like DreamWorks face, the DreamWorks animation face of like, oh, why are you doing that to me?
here let's do another round robin. Favorite part. So
Jessica
that
Henwick.
Jessica Henwick. Thank you.
It's not Jessica Henwick.
But she is the X-wing fighter pilot
I'm
in Force
looking that
Awakens.
up just to make sure.
I know that because I was always wondering.
she is.
Because they kept mentioning that she was in Force Awakens when they were talking about her and Colleen Wing and like Game of Thrones. I'm like, yeah, I know she's in Game of Thrones, but who the hell was she in Force Awakens? So favorite moment. Let's go around and do that.
I want to talk about my favorite character that got shafted.
We're
this
talking about
movie.
moments.
I
not
know.
characters Here, Cameron.
She had a moment. That sweet Maz Kanata phone call.
Oh yeah, that was fun actually.
No, my favorite moment was the light speed attack. Just like when it went silent and the whole theater, like that was the experience moment where the whole theater is just like, oh shit. And I still think that's where the movie should have ended after that. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys
So then
think?
Finn and Rose are at the mercy. We don't really see them escape.
Yeah, so then it's the ending similar to episode 5, where Rey is, we don't know what the situation with Rey is. Finn and Rose are still captive by Phasma. They're basically the Han of episode 5. And the rebels are still like on their last limb trying to escape.
See, I do no.
Well, I kind of wish they would lean more into Finn as Han, because it seems Poe is Leia, Rey's Luke, and that by default Finn is the Han character. And I wish they would lean a little bit
Well,
more
in this
into
movie,
that.
I
They
mean-
kind of do, but they need to do it more.
In this movie, I feel like Poe is supposed to be the Han. And they're like forcing him to be the Leia,
the
and
Han.
he's the pretty boy hotshot.
Yeah.
So I feel like they don't really know what to do with him. And I also think it's bad that we're trying to, I think that's what Rian Johnson is trying to break us out of, is
Comparing
making
these
direct
three.
parallels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're all perfect parallels. I think there's a pretty good mix in between.
Yeah, they're all, but it feels like that's his role of it is roguish, because there you have the Force user, political, and you need the wild card. And Finn should be that because he's got the cool Poe jacket.
True, but I mean, he's just been a
He's got the
stormtrooper.
jacket.
Yeah.
He's not really a world. I mean, he was a janitor. He was a stormtrooper for most of his life. He's not really worldly. So I don't know if
That's
he,
true.
Yeah,
he really
can't-
hasn't earned the Han Solo cockiness.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Han's seen some shit. I mean, Poe has literally seen some shit.
Well, maybe we'll see what shit next year.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite scene was when Luke milked that animal.
Oh, God.
That was my favorite.
Now we
scene.
know where blue milk comes from.
That's right.
That was
How-
green milk.
It was a green milk.
That was green milk.
I was not paying
Very
close enough
distinct.
attention. Okay, I mean,
Well, it's after you do, because no, that's raw milk. So it turns blue after a pasteurization
Right. So
process.
my question is, how do they get the raw green milk from this completely uncharted planet to Tatooine to process it to become blue milk?
Because Luke's got the inside track. He's from Tatooine. He's obviously got a shipping thing. What's
See,
he doing for money while he's hanging
I
out with
actually
the Jedi?
think that is.
He actually has a side business Etsy store.
Yeah.
See, I think this is the story that Rian Johnson's going to answer in his trilogy. It's going to be the green to blue milk trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that whole process?
People want to know.
Yeah, I really want to know.
Jabba's.
this.
I can tell. Do you know? I'm still thinking about my favorite one. Do you? Have
Okay.
you guys know?
I think mine is it's when the Falcon shows up on the Salt Planet and starts drawing the fighters away, and then is flying through the crystal caves and stuff like that.
Oh, that
It's
was
like,
very pretty.
But also, like with that scene too, it's like they were gone for so long. Like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
much of the rest of the plot happens, and then they conveniently only show up at the very end.
no, I agree. It's an absolute like Deus Ex Machina.
And Rey's
but-
already on the ship, too.
Yeah, But what I liked about that is that felt classic Star Wars. Like that was one of the few times they brought in the original themes, and like it was just cool to see the Falcon in action flying through there.
True, but I also feel like it's again like I can't remember saying like last film it was like Poe just crash lands on that TIE fighter and then disappears until you see him back saving everybody at the end.
Why do you have to shit on my happy moment, Frank? I'm trying so hard to be positive for once.
But this franchise like done great where people will just like disappear and then appear just later on at some other point in the film. Like, oh, we don't really see how they get there. They just show up. Where
Light speed, baby.
Yeah. They're all projections.
That's
They're
also
all force projections.
none of this is real. This is all in Luke's head. This is all Luke's vision of what he saw when he looked into Kylo's future.
Solid.
That's why Rey is so strong with no evidence.
You seem really committed to that
I'm
theory
like,
there, Amanda. You're like, yeah, that's...
They just Dallased the shit out of the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah, 2 seasons. Fuck it, that didn't happen.
That's it.
It's just a dream in a shower.
Like, who killed JR? What?
Huh?
Huh?
Sorry, it's still 1964.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the year after.
You know a lot about Dallas.
Dallas was well after the 60s.
I know.
That was what, like the 80s?
Yes.
Yeah. Camera wasn't around.
Big hair.
So
Yeah. Don't care.
I don't know my favorite. I know my favorite thing about the movie.
What was that?
Trevor's like, I don't just say fucking something. my favorite. I
Was it
thought
the trash can accessory to BB-8?
No, oh god, yeah, because that
Everyone's
wasn't
favorite.
the most obvious thing. I thought that Mark Hamill acted the shit out of this movie.
Agreed.
I thought he did great. Frank's giving me a smirk. I'm just saying. That's how I feel.
I mean,
It's no Joker.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like the whole Luke thing. I felt like some of that humor was just kind of forced as well too. Like that moment where he just kind of casually tosses the lightsaber over his shoulder. I feel like that was just too much of like yuck yuck. It's like I think you could have had a more serious moment where he either refuses it or he just drops it. But like I don't know, like the comedy of that moment tossing over the shoulder. I was like, eh.
Yeah, but that's not because of the way he played it. That's because it was a stupid thing to have him do.
You're only saying that because he's a close personal friend and you have a photo with you
true,
on
yeah.
social media.
Oh, that's why
You're
you're
only saying that
saying
because
this.
he drove you here.
Listen, I was not. Don't tell him he's outside. I don't want
Guys,
Waiting
in a-
outside in his land speeder. It's cold out.
In a couple of
so-
months, we're
And
gonna have
coming in now.
gonna have a payola scandal revealed with Amanda. All this. Oh, Mark Hamill is doing so great. Force Awakens.
That's
I
how
love
we're
it.
making all that sweet cashola for this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we're all getting paid so much. It's funding by
we're not
by
getting
the Hamill.
paid. You
It's
are.
all you.
Yeah.
Sweet money.
You're getting paid for this?
Yeah, no.
Why did you tell him that's an option?
No, I agree. I liked Rey practicing her fighting. I thought that scene was cool. I thought it was visually pretty cool. I thought that it's cool to see like a chick with a lightsaber. It just is. It's just there's something really, really neat about that. But I think it's interesting because I read that Mark Hamill basically told the director, like, I just don't agree with any of the choices you've made for this character. And then he basically said, and I read an article critiquing that because it was talking about the big discrepancy in who loved this movie and who hated it and why it was so polarizing. And the writer of the article basically put a lot of that blame on Hamill for essentially, he was pretty vocal about being like, I just don't agree with most of the choices you've made. And now that I've said that, it's your vision as a director and writer. So like, you know what I mean? So I'm here to carry out the vision.
Well, Brian Johnson characterized it as a collaboration.
Yeah.
That was as it's being characterized, at least now, maybe this is revisionist, but that was just initial comments.
Yeah, and I think things...
And then they worked through it from there.
I think things change, and I don't know. I hadn't been following, like, the only things I kept seeing were, like, no spoilers, everyone, from Mark Hamill, but apparently he'd made some comments even, like, a week before the release that was like, yeah, we'll see, basically, with the Luke character, specifically, and, like, the way that the character had changed. But the writer of this article that I'm referring to basically was, like, blamed him for opening the door for fans to go in and be like, meh, like he didn't like it, I'm not going to like it either, which I guess is fair, but I also like to think that fans are smart enough to make their own decisions. I don't know.
But Luke Skywalker said it.
Yeah, but I didn't mind curmudgeonly. I didn't really
I thought it
mind.
was awesome.
I didn't mind curmudgeonly Luke because enough time, in my opinion, had elapsed. and he clearly had this. If you've got, I get why he would. I get why you would send yourself into exile if you think that. I don't understand the whole there can be no more Jedis. That felt very weird to me, but I understand why you would exile yourself if you thought that you were responsible for something like Kylo Ren.
Well, I mean, that's
Very passionate, almost knocked over a
this
lamp.
is. I'll use this to dovetail into my favorite scene, but that's like what Yoda did.
Yeah.
Yoda left at the end of the prequels and went to Dagobah, and when we meet him, he's kooky and weird and crazy, to the point that Luke doesn't even think he's the Jedi Master. He thinks he'll take him to Yoda. And that brings me to my favorite scene, which was Yoda's comeback as a puppet. That was a double comeback from Yoda. But that was what I said earlier about the mysticism coming back. Like that felt the most like the original trilogy I've seen in the last 3 Star Wars movies that Disney has done. That scene was the most classic Star Wars. Was the two of them palling around, but also like it was cool Yoda, not prequel Yoda.
Yeah.
This was like kooky fun Yoda.
And that humor to me felt more organic.
Yeah.
That humor to me felt more organic. Like it didn't feel like a knack, 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 knack. Like it was just I don't even know why I just knack, 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 knack. It didn't feel like a Stooges, yeah. But it felt a little more like in the spirit of the old, like getting whacked on the head and all of that kind of thing.
Why
also-
Yoda?
Yeah.
Why I Yoda? But also like I think the thing with the Jedi, like why they need to go, is like, well, they fell for a reason. They let Darth Vader happen, and Luke let Kylo Ren happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just sort of like,
Well, I feel like he was
there's a
trying-
toxicity to this that needs to be eradicated.
Unlike Yoda, where like he basically was like, you shouldn't train this kid. Oh, you're gonna train this kid? Okay, whatever. Luke was at least trying to, what in his mind was do what Yoda wouldn't.
No, but
which
they
was-
shouldn't have trained that kid.
What did he do wrong?
Yoda is he's the male ally who saw all this to make the real world comparison. He's the male ally. All of his friends are fucking up left and right. Well, he's always had the right ideas. He's like, no, we should have trained that kid. It
Doing
became
nothing
Darth
is
Vader.
the same as doing something.
No, he was doing right. He just didn't have the foresight to stop the people who were around him.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson is the true villain of this series.
Yeah.
Well, he had to go save his daughter, so he had to leave the franchise.
You know what the true villain is? Watto. For giving up his slave.
Wow.
I don't, it's,
Wow. It only took 8 crossover episodes for Cameron.
I have a lot to say about Watto.
it is interesting, like with The Force Awakens, where you come back and revisit Han, Luke, and Leia, that it's like it's not like really glamorous. I mean, they've all kind of fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess there's one thing, like if you can, depending on where you end a story, you can end a story in the right place, then everybody has a happy ending, or you let the story continue. And inevitably, it seems like if you keep going, let a story go long enough, it's always going to end badly. So, I mean, I guess that's, I don't know if I like that or not, but I do kind of feel like, well, we bring these 3 characters back, and they've all haven't really amounted much to anything. They let everything just backslide into what it was. So this great hero moment of the original trilogy is just like, doesn't really mean much. These guys are just, a bunch of losers now and in exile.
Well, there was a good amount of time where I'm sure they were happy, and Han and Leia raising Ben and Luke training kids, but we just never got to see any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which would have helped so much. It would have helped so much.
Well,
We
that's
would've
what
seen-
great,
like even like I would have liked to just see the rest of that scene. If Kylo Ren told the truth, Rey's parents are dead drunks. I would have liked to see her flash into a Force vision and see the rest of that scene that J.J. Abrams did in Force Awakens.
Oh, and she's like,
yeah, to come back,
on her plots, like pulling her away.
Yeah, I would want to see that
You
scene
see all the beer,
fully.
all the beer bottles just like
Yeah,
falling
it's
off.
like fucking Rick and Morty as they're just flying off. But I would want to see that. I feel like that's why that moment ultimately lands flat, is because we don't trust Kylo, we don't trust the source of it, and we need something else to confirm it. For whatever reason, Vader works because we trust, like, what does he have to say by saying, I'm your dad? like in that moment when he's got Luke, like Luke's freaking like has his arm chopped off and he's at the edge of like some platform. Like Vader has no reason to lie about this at all. Whereas Kylo Ren and Snoke are at like the height of their power in that moment. They have no reason not to. Oh wait, Snoke's dead at that point, right?
Does anyone know?
I don't remember.
But anyway, but he's but they're like we have reason to believe why he wouldn't be telling the truth, and having an external vision of that, an external scene to support his claim would have made the moment land a lot better.
It's the basic thing of like storytelling. It's
Show
show,
don't-
don't tell.
Yeah.
And that's all we got in this movie was them telling us a lot of stuff with no real visuals.
But I also don't like these like forced flashback things. Like flashbacks have never been a part of Star Wars. I didn't like them in The Force Awakens. I don't like them here. Like that's not how we learn things in Star Wars. Like am I alone on this one?
No, I agree. I think
Okay.
that I think that one of the fun things about the originals is that it's all happening in the present, and when people are, it's a story, right? So it's like when I feel like when Kenobi sits and he's telling the story and he's remembering it, and when he says, "I have not heard that name in a long time," you believe it, you buy it, and you feel like you're reliving it with him and you're hearing it for the first time, like Luke. So I don't know. I don't hate the idea of a would you call it force back?
flat.
Back.
Force.
Yeah, we'll call it that. A force.
There's an
back.
actual name. I can't remember what it is. I thought
Yeah.
it was back. That's probably wrong.
I don't know, but it's also just
Sounds
interesting to
wrong.
think when we first saw Star Wars, when that first, because I think all of us at least came of age where we got to see the trilogy before the prequels.
Mhm.
I don't know. Did you, Cameron?
Oh wait, there were movies
We-
before the prequels.
Cameron is
But it's
8.
like-
Yes, my first memory is seeing the Luke, I'm your father scene. I was 3 years old.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I am your father. Sorry.
There it is.
correct
All right. I was
myself.
going to say,
Wow.
you say if I'm going to get called out for it, then you call yourself
So
out
clearly,
too.
they're setting a precedent that kids clearly can forget stuff and not remember. So it's entirely impossible for Ray to have forgotten all that stuff. But at this point, like we've seen. It's weird because when you saw Star Wars, you just jumped into that story. You're dropped in. Everything's fresh. It's new. It has to be. You have to be told all this stuff or have it revealed to you because you don't have anything else. And now with this movie, we have seen with a large 30-year chunk, the entirety of Luke Skywalker's life. And so it's just a different beast at this point with like trying to like dole out the information. Yeah, they should be following similar stuff to what made Star Wars successful, and those stories connect with people with these new trilogies. But it's also just in a weird space where the storytelling now has the added thing of like, well, what more can we reveal when we've spent 60 plus years
Yeah, I'm
experiencing this world?
I'm not arguing that I need to be told in the same way. I guess I'm saying that the way that it's being told right now feels disingenuous and forced. Pardon the pun. And
refuse to pardon
thank you, Slow Clap. And I feel like I didn't feel like I was present in this movie. I felt like it was all over the place. Like there was so much going on, so many characters. I'm like, cool, ultimate sacrifice. I don't know your life, woman.
We've
I
made
don't
it
give a
an
shit about you.
hour and 20 minutes and haven't even brought up Benicio del Toro.
I was
Yeah,
just about to
just
say that.
all of
It's
I just
goddamn,
can't.
it was so bad.
There's so many things that this is why I knew. I was like, I'm gonna start thinking about this the more we're talking about it. I'm gonna get more and more negative on it, which is not what I mean to do.
From a breather,
But I
then,
just-
we haven't heard other Chris's
Yeah.
most favorite moment of all of them.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
sorry.
Oh,
Tangent.
Yeah, no, we got into it. My favorite part.
Was it Benicio del Toro?
Oh my God,
Was that
that's so-
stutter?
why-
Was that all you
why
wanted?
is
Was that
he-
stutter?
Why is he stuttering and why is he doing an accent? Let him use his natural accent. That can exist in the universe.
What if that
Right.
is his natural voice?
It's not. I know Benicio. Okay, we spent weeks in the same. Never mind. But my favorite part
Was
was
the same hostel?
Whorehouse?
no. Was Force
Herbology
Leia.
class?
Horticultural.
Let it go,
class?
guys. I'm not gonna say it. Okay.
Nailed it.
Feds are listening. But no, it was Force Leia. I've wanted to see it for so long, and I've we've known that the connection is there. She feels it too. She's had these little moments with Luke, and just seeing her be like, no, fuck it, fucking Master Force, and just dip back to the ship. I was like, it's strong with you, Leia. I could feel it, and I just needed that show of power.
So I'm gonna pull a Frank here and shit in your happiness.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you Because I agree with you. I was so happy to finally see Leia show that she has power, but that scene was very silly.
Yes. Agreed. But I don't want to I got the moment, so I can.
What would you want out of that scene?
I mean, maybe that she stayed behind or something like that. She had enough power to keep herself from getting sucked out, and they look in and she's still there, and she's maybe surveying the damage around her, and I don't know, but it just it was someone in the theater guffawed next to me, and it pulled me, and I imagine a lot of other people out in that
there's
moment.
A weird trend of is people surviving in space in sci-fi movies, especially Disney sci-fi movies, because Guardians has pulled that little crystal. It felt like they did that. Yeah, Guardians and Guardians 2, because when he saves Gamora in Guardians, and then the whole, "He may not have been your father, but I'm your daddy," that whole thing.
It's a great impression.
Yeah. I spent a couple weeks with Micah Rooker in a.
You guys should write a
hospital.
book. You should write a book about your experiences.
But yeah, I don't that whole scene. I liked it. The whole Leia thing. It was cool. I can see why you would want to see but it's how can you externally show a sign of power with the Force?
That's what I was trying to figure out. If it was
Is she
another
fucking
moment.
Super Saiyan, glowing or something like that? How do you represent it in the visual sense that you're looking for that would possibly be an even more interesting look?
She mind fucks Poe. Just sit down, and he just sits down, and he doesn't freak out against everyone's plan. Which they could have just told him the plan. I don't think telling Poe what's going on is leaking information.
Sorry, I got distracted when you
Yeah.
said fucks Poe. What were we talking about?
And I mean, and other people have said this as well. It's well, no, she's not obliged to tell him because it's following the military chain of command. I'm giving you order, and you just do it. But I also feel like in a life and death situation like that, where everybody's freaking out, Laura Dern's character does nothing really to inspire anybody. Leia's out. Poe's been demoted. Everybody's freaking out, and she just says, "Nope, we're gonna just do this." And I'm not giving you any reason to.
It started kind of weird with her introduction because Leia's just I think we all know who's in charge, guys. Or when after she goes down and we know who's gonna take Leia's spot, and she just shows up, and that's our
This
first
woman
time
we've
ever.
never
This
heard
stranger.
or seen before.
So I don't the whole time I was questioning her motives, oh, maybe she is bad, maybe Poe's on the right track here, and that's gonna be a storyline.
Maybe she's Ray's mom.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe she's the alcoholic.
Yeah, and she's just drunk the whole time.
It just didn't her death didn't mean anything to me. It was
No.
this crazy sacrifice, and I kept seeing she's the ultimate hero, and I'm right, but who the fuck is she? We don't know who she is. And I say I love Laura Dern.
Oh,
Give her as much
absolutely.
much everything as you want. Put her on screen all the time. I don't care.
But again, she
But,
could have
what?
been dropped in the fucking round table scene in Force Awakens had they actually
Had
built
they
this a
planned,
trilogy.
right? And yet at least there would have been a familiarity. And when she came on screen, it'd been "Oh, purple-haired, high fashion lady, you're back." Oh, good for you.
It's fucking. Where's the Wedge character
Right?
in this?
Yeah.
Because we don't have. Because also, as far as I can tell, they Ryan Johnson did the smart thing and killed off Greg Grunberg, Matt Parkman. Because he was nowhere to be seen. They killed off, we assume, the Colleen Wing debatable character.
Yeah, it
Rose
is
is-
Colleen Wing. I confirm that.
No, but I mean, is that
Oh,
the same
Rose's
character?
sister?
Is that
No,
did they
it's-
recast her or something?
I don't
There's
think so.
no
I think there's different people.
recurring characters like a Wedge character, or any of those, or the Admiral. I want to just say Pilaf, but it's Pitoff or something like
Admiral
that.
Piet?
Piet,
On
yeah,
the
that
Imperial
guy.
side? Yeah.
None of these other people leave impressions unless they're name actors. And so it's that's, I feel it doesn't feel as much as they're expanding the universe, it still feels like they're suffering from the same things. Yeah, not everyone's a Skywalker in this movie, but it does seem to revolve around this small group of people.
I would argue that they're shrinking the universe at this point. You talk about the literal sense they only went a few miles, whatever you want to call it, in space. But even the fact that Rey happens to be super force sensitive on the same planet where the Falcon is, and we only have this really small cast of characters, and I just the ramifications of what happens in all of these movies seem to be just for these characters, and I don't think it actually has a intergalactic impact.
Yeah.
In the same way.
Well, I mean, that's but again, that's what will be exciting about the Rian Johnson trilogy after this is 9 is the conclusion of the Skywalker saga, and hope to God we can finally see what a Star Wars trilogy looks like outside of these people. And because like we saw like how wide and expansive the Star Wars world is with Rogue One.
But you say that 9 is the end of the Skywalker saga, but there won't be a Skywalker in the next one, right?
Ben
Yeah.
Solo.
No, yeah, I guess Ben.
Yeah, I guess technically.
And
Well, yeah,
also
and I
we-
mean, and-
and we know too, Leia was supposed to be in.
It was
9.
supposed to be
her
Leia's movie.
and that sadly
Do
won't
we?
come to be.
Does it? I
So,
think
so
that
sad.
it is so
Yeah,
sad.
no.
Along those lines, do you think that it should have been Leia who?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
100%.
Sacrificed yourself?
I
Yeah,
think it
who
should have
did
been
the
Leia
sacrifice?
who sacrificed on the ship, and I very much so think it should have been Finn who sacrificed himself at the end. I think he actually should have destroyed the thing, because then he would have been the spark that like lit the fire of the rebellion. This guy who we used to work for the First Order, who broke free, who like no one really knew who he was, but he did one small act. That
And he
turned
even
the
had that
tide.
like where he closed his eyes, like, okay,
Yeah, and like
this
I
is
get
what
that,
I want to
mean,
do.
Ryan Johnson was clearly trying to constantly undermine our expectations. I don't think those have necessarily worked, but I think there especially like I don't care about him and Rose. Again, I liked Rose when she was on screen, but she wasn't that important. Like I really think that he should have sacrificed himself, and that would have had an impact on all the characters. But by taking him out of that,
Or she knocks him off and
That's right, they're
sacrifices
in love.
herself,
Yeah.
so her storyline kind of wraps up and goes someplace, and it has an impact on Finn. Not in a like, oh, we hung out today on a mission. I love you already. A bit too soon.
actually, so Amanda, what did you think of Rose? I would like to hear a lady's perspective on Rose, because we're just a bunch of dudes yelling into an echo chamber at this point.
Lean in. Yeah, I wish that she'd been given more. I guess not necessarily more screen time, but I wish that she felt so.
Should have accomplished something.
Yeah, the character felt it's very frustrating. There's something very frustrating about having a character in a film that I feel like, are they making a point, or is the character just there to serve the purpose of like, see, women and diversity, when they can be so much more.
You know,
So I thought she had an emotional start. No, you're good. So she had an emotional start. I just wish that I wanted her to be like good. You want to watch the people you're supposed to root for. You want to see them be good at what they do, even if they're flawed. You know, if maybe they're prideful. I mean, like Han Solo was prideful as fuck, but like he was a good pilot. You still want to watch him. You know what I mean, and be that way. And I just felt like the romance was forced. I feel like every romance in this film was forced. I thought the Kylo Ray thing, I disagree, unfortunately, with Trevor. I just don't like
Sexy
it.
as hell.
Yeah. I'm not saying it wasn't sexy. I
It is
said it was
sexy as hell.
forced. But I just wanted more for her. And as far as I want every character, especially in a movie like this where there's so many, everyone should have a reason for being there. You know? And I felt like their mission was just why?
Yeah.
Why did the whole mission? I felt like that, not just her specifically.
What I want to say is, as much as I love Rose and I wish that she had a bigger point, what I kind of wish they did was give Carrie Fisher's daughter that role, because her whole point in this movie was reaction. That's all she did. Every shot. Did she say anything in this movie?
Or combine them.
Yeah, that's
merge
what I'm
them.
saying. Yeah,
she had a
have-
handful of lines up at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and she has that cool little look to help Poe. But yeah, but
Yeah, she helps Poe,
she's
yeah.
a wedge
I was
character.
gonna say, but why?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Billy Lord. I know that
Yeah,
character.
if-
I don't know her name, but I know that she's there.
Yeah, and I would have loved for
It's
those
Chronix
two.
or something like that.
Chronics.
It's like Chronix or Connix or something like that. It's a C and an X.
I have a reaction figure. It's really,
Nice.
really sweet.
I would have loved if those two went on the mission, and then like it wouldn't feel like we have another character to deal with.
I thought the actress was adorable.
Yeah,
I thought she did a
me
great
too.
job. I just was frustrated by. I'm like, no, just be good. But I also find Finn very frustrating
I
as a
have
character.
I have a coworker that was like so excited to see Rose. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, she's gonna be the best character. I'm gonna get all this stuff for her because she's great. And then like the next day, she asked me like, oh, how is Rose in the movie? And I honestly didn't have the heart to tell her of like, She doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I felt like it was a wasted opportunity to have another cool.
She
like, female
fails
character.
and then
yeah.
not dies. Does she die? Is she dead?
No.
No, she can't be.
That would be
She's
that would
pulling
be
she's pulling a
messed
fin.
up
Yeah.
if she just like, I love you.
Right. That's
No,
what I.
they
That's
have to
walking
set
out
up
of the theater.
a,
That's what I
a
thought.
love square
Yeah.
between Rose,
I wanna-
Finn, Kylo Ren, and Rey.
I wanna love-
Film.
Lest we
Octagon.
forget that Poe and Ray just met. I don't know. That was pretty
Well,
sexy
also,
handshake.
I mean, I'm still shipping Poe and Finn real hard.
But also
So let's get that love
I feel like those
hexagon going.
the two things that really like show what is really wrong with this series, and where it's stumbling, is the fact that Poe and Rey met at the end of this movie. That's really fucking weird. The fact, like, it's been like we keep comparing them as the trilogy trio to all the other ones. It's like, but they don't even know each other.
End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of the movie.
But-
And it was like almost like a funny little nod. It's like, hi, introductions, almost like to remind the audience like they've never even
never
met
been
each
on-
other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, I hate you.
Oh, hi, I'm second billing. You must be fifth billing. So nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
But then the other thing is, I feel like all the humor and the subversion, and everything like that, is perfectly encaptured in the iron. When Finn and Rose get their attire, and
Oh,
the scene
that's-
starts
oh, yeah,
with
it's
the iron. Like, it's just like threatening. It's an iron. Wah, wah.
Well,
I
it's
feel like
Hardware
that's
Wars.
that's
That's what it is.
Hmm?
It's just a nod to Hardware Wars. That's- yeah. So
what it was. It actually, Frank? Or
it
you
was
just,
no,
it-
it's for sure. Yeah, that was Ryan Johnson's little nod to Hardware Wars. Was that he couldn't have a real iron flying around, but that was the closest I could make it look like. And even John Williams kind of hit that Hardware Wars kind of
that's
music
cool.
in there.
Okay. Well, great, Frank. Not only do you shit on the happy moments, you shit on the ones that I'm trying to make points.
I'm sorry. It was a deep cut. It was a deep
I was
cut.
I was gonna defend everyone's point of view about why this is divisive, but you know what? Fuck it, I'm all in. I love this movie. It's just we need to. I think honestly, I wish we should just do an episode after Christmas where we've all seen it again
Second time.
and like do a second viewing episode.
We
And
just can't get enough of us, can you, Trevor?
No, I
It's
can't.
like every time we
One
think it's
more.
the last one,
One
it's
little
like
more.
one last ride.
But it's just like the more
Oh,
I
no,
personally.
don't give them an idea.
You know a crossover we need. Next movie, Vin Diesel.
the fate of the
The
Star
Rock,
Wars.
Ludacris, driving an X-wing.
They say they're going to space.
Oh yeah.
And they, speaking of new trilogies, with was anybody like let's keep this comparison going. Was anybody worried or upset that they didn't Paul Walker Carrie Fisher? Because they kind of did, but
No.
not in as definitive a way as they do.
No.
I wanted to see you again to play at the end of.
No, I'm glad that they didn't break the fourth wall in that way. Like I've said this repeatedly that I really disliked how they handled Paul Walker's death in the end of Fast and Furious. With this
Don't know
movie.
Leia montage.
Cameron, you can just shut right up now.
Her
no,
with
like
the Ewoks.
they
her
like
in the trash compactor. Sorry. You go.
they they pulled me out of the movie in the end of Fast Furious 17,
Seven.
whatever it was,
7.
and I didn't like it. Like I think you acknowledge like the way they did in the very end there, but I think that the best thing you can do is you play the movie out as it was meant to be. And there's a difference. I mean, obviously they had all of Carrie Fisher's performance, or most of it here, by
Yeah.
comparison. But no, I think it would have been weird for them to like make a deal out of it in the story itself.
That's why I do feel like the next film's probably gonna have a time jump, so that way she's
It has to be.
she's died in between, and then you just kind of move on.
She just lost her will to live, and off she goes.
I mean, maybe even the funeral of Leia is an inciting incident of 9 or something like that, or they're just coming back from it, or like you can like address it immediately. Or you're right, she probably will die off screen, or just be off, and maybe she's off in hiding, and we're never going to hear Princess Leia died.
I think they have to acknowledge her being gone though. She's too critical in the course of everything to just go away and never come back.
I think if because they didn't make it her sacrifice, I think since they didn't go that direction, then they did it the right way, which is not doing like some weird send off at the end. You know what I mean? It would have felt so bizarre to do some like weird send off at the end.
Yeah.
I did love the dedication to her at the end. I thought I got a little
of
teary
course,
just with
yeah.
that one line. But yeah, I think that if they weren't going to make her have what's her name? Supreme Admiral, what's her name?
Vice Admiral Haldo.
Vice Admiral
And you're right, it was
Haldo.
Lieutenant Connix.
Connix.
Connix, yeah.
Not Chronix.
No, not Chronix. No.
Yeah. I think that, yeah. I don't know what I was going to say.
Laura, the way that I wanted the story to go is, Leia is the one that makes the sacrifice, and then you have, not even just that, then you have the split leadership where Poe wants a more action military movement, where Laura Dern wants more of like, we're doing this as a more stealth, as a smarter, a long game. And you have, and like she still outranks him, and I would have loved for that conflict to come into 9, where like Poe can't be the hotshot anymore because they are restricting him so much, and like then he's gonna have that rogueness. Then he will have that Han aspect of like, fuck this, I'm doing my own thing.
Play
Give
by my
me
own
the
rules.
Falcon. Yeah.
Well, it is kind of a bummer because whatever they had planned for her in 9,
Mhm.
which I really think is going to see like a face-to-face moment between her and Kylo, which
Yeah.
now we're going to miss out on, which I think would be really cool for the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, personally, me, it's like Peter Cushinger, man. Just like let's just put a digital model in there. Let's just have it. I know they won't do that, but it's like I'm all down for just digitally resurrect Princess Leia, put her in this film.
And then, if Leia had sacrificed herself, Luke would have had an actual fucking reason to go to the planet. He would feel Leia. We see the X-wing in the water.
Yeah,
never
never wants to
yeah.
come to any use.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is so frustrating.
Mhm.
How did you guys feel about Luke not being there and fighting in person, not sacrificing himself, using the Force to be there but not there, and then being like, my job here is done, and then dying?
Well, if we're gonna be pedantic,
pulling
and
an Odin.
I feel we must. I was really bothered he didn't have his green lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing, because that was my immediate clue. Beyond the fact that he looked younger and had different haircuts and stuff like that, the one big thing was like he's using a lightsaber he does not have that was also just destroyed, so that's clearly not him.
Like 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, so it wasn't a twist. It was just a very heavy-handed foreshadow that for me took away what would have been like an interesting twist in the whole thing. Because I just saw it immediately coming like, well, but that's not him. He's not there. So all of this is. I watched that scene knowing it was moot instead of having a twist. But that's me being pedantic. So by all means.
But also, like, that sweet ass spin move was awesome. Where he just like went under the lightsaber and like held himself up with the Force and then slid through. I know it was nothing. I mostly just
wasn't there a
like
moment of slow mo right there.
no, it was all in fast.
There was one moment of slow motion in this movie.
I mean,
I
that
remember
it
clocking
might
it.
have been that then.
When Kylo and Rey go back to back, it does get slow mo.
I thought there was another one though, but I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess it was there.
Yeah.
But I will say I kind of wished Luke had been there. Like I get that. Somebody pointed out that it's him sending a Force projection is a form of pacifism, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Wank.
Yeah. But I also was just like, oh, like he didn't like
I might have just killed a man.
he didn't genuinely cut his hair.
Got a nice dye job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
all right.
I mean,
Yeah.
like the stewards
looks-
of October, they would have done that for him, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I want to see 5 minutes of Luke getting ready with them like pampering
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't know, guys. Like, do you think I can reach
He's
Ben?
like, he's
Like,
just-
That
Different outfits.
that
Yeah.
should have been
Yes.
that should have been the end scene
yeah.
that we all wanted. It was just him like at a beauty salon with them and he's just like, listen, people really don't understand
then-
Force, and they're just like doing his nails and yeah.
And then Force Yoda, and Force Obi-Wan, they're all just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the other traditional, hey, Luke gets back in touch with the Force and uses it in a way that we've never seen before, which I guess is pretty cool. You're seeing a different application of the Force. But then I'm also thinking, like, wow, this is the last time we're going to see Luke Skywalker. He pretty much just is hanging out way far away from the action.
Yeah,
Like-
it was a waste. Like I think one of the cool things about the Force Awakens was one of the things that made me most excited was the promise of getting to see Luke again and getting to see like him at his full power. Where's he gonna go? What's he gonna do? And I felt like they were aware that people wanted that because they gave us that weird scene, but they wouldn't commit to it.
We also wanted to see him and Leia
Yeah, and
because
we
of
kind
the
of got that.
photos that they used to promote the movie. We're like
Yeah.
him and Leia. It's like kind of isn't enough for me.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, that's all.
But what do
No,
you,
agreed.
especially in the wake of Carrie Fisher's death, what do you make of the line, "I'll be seeing you around, kid"?
I'm sure he comes back to the
I-
Force
I-
Ghost.
Do you
I
think
think
Force?
he'd-
Do you
I
think
think he'd be back in
we see
some
Luke? We
capacity.
see Force Ghost Luke
I
in
think
9.
he's gonna haunt
Yeah.
Ben. He's just gonna go around and just like surprise him every once in a while.
If you strike me down in anger, I'll stay with you,
Yeah, just gonna-
like your father.
Ben's gonna be trying to like take a shower, and Luke's gonna be there.
And I'm sure he'll probably visit
Spinning
Rey
those
too.
dice around his finger.
Exactly.
Ugh. Yeah,
I hope those went with him.
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they kind of disappeared at the end. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
he's still got. There was that scene though where he says like if you strike me down, I'll always be around you just like your father. I'll always be with you just like your father. I was expecting for the camera to pan and there's going to be a Force Han standing right there. I was like, what?
I don't like. I made that joke about not being able to afford that other person. I really don't think they could afford Harrison Ford to come
Also,
back
there's
for another movie.
no way he would do it. They
Even
couldn't-
if-
None.
They couldn't even get him to pretend to be excited to be there. He just been like, "Why the fuck am I here?"
Wait, son of a bitch! I gotta be this now.
I thought I was done with this.
Read the fine print, Harrison.
Yeah, it's Harrison and then the ghost legal team behind him.
But it is disappointing that we never got to see a scene with the three of them together
Yeah, I
at all.
agree.
It's like I feel like there's one thing to like, all right, we know what the audience wants. We're gonna kind of play against their expectations, but I mean I think like that. Like, how do you not have one scene of that in a franchise that is so, especially the original trilogy, so beloved by so many people? And
That's what happens. You're punished when you get greedy and like we're gonna make the fans wait for this. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so exciting. We're gonna spend so much time building up for it. The universe is like, nope, we're gonna take your princess. And that's what happened. Also, they should have known from the get-go. I mean, maybe they weren't planning it the whole time, but I wish that they would have planned that reunion in there. And they had to know that Harrison Ford was only going to do the one. They were lucky enough to get him for the one, you know?
Yeah.
It would have been. I feel like to have them all together and then have him die. I would have had so much more impact.
It would have been heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
You-
Said, ugh.
I'm gonna make the same comment that I made in Ragnarok, where, even like, fine, he's dead. I accept that. Whatever. Just hold on it for another 20 seconds. Give us time to like die in that moment with him. Like you see the little particles, he like fades into the Force. Like just set on that scene for just a little bit longer so we can just like, so you really understand how powerful a moment that is.
And to further that, like, there was a character that, again, I didn't really give a shit about who sacrificed herself, and it was beautiful on screen and very impactful.
Yeah.
So imagine how it would have been if they had just given it its time and had that patience to do that with a character that I actually cared about for my entire life.
But I would have liked it better when Odin turned into dust. That his like casual clothes just kind of crumpled.
Just fell.
Yeah,
fell.
yeah.
The
Had
eye-
they
the
do
eye
that.
His wife
patch.
beater would have gone with him, but
It's
his
like,
robes
did he
would
have a
stay
cape on
behind,
before?
so-
Did he have a cape?
Okay,
Oh, I was gonna say like we should probably like wind down here. I
Yeah.
don't know if you had any other final questions.
I'm just getting started.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
I-
we're like the franchise. We're gonna save that for the next one, Frank. We're just gonna tease it here.
well, but since this is technically Podcast of Two Worlds driving this thing, we like to wildly speculate.
oh,
Ooh,
let us.
Let's do some 9 predictions. Just a little hot round robin of some 9 either a wish list prediction or like what you feel the pieces are leading towards. So who's got a thought? Who's got an episode 9 thought? Kylo Ren, does he die?
At the very end. Yeah.
I mean, they certainly heavily imply that he's not going to get redeemed because Leia says, "I realize my son is gone." So,
But they had that future vision, which like I saw you in the future and you turned good. He's like, yeah, well I saw you and you turned bad. Was that just Snoke fucking with them both, or is that actually like a future vision?
We also know that future visions, as they say in this movie, and they've said in every future vision movie, it's uncertain, and I feel like it's going to be a little bit influenced by what they want to see.
But I also feel like Leia's statement would have held much more weight and import with me if we'd actually seen any scenes with them and her seeing him being swayed to the dark side and losing her own son. Like now that we come in, and it's like, yeah, these
It's
people.
kind of word of mouth at this point.
Yeah, that's right.
I will say that I'm not gonna make any predictions, but I think a interesting scene in the next movie they could do, which we've never seen before, is the construction of a lightsaber, like Rey having to go out and build one for herself. Because I have a hard time believing that in your climax, the entirety one presumes of the Star Wars like Skywalker saga, you're not gonna have a lightsaber battle. So I think that could be a cool scene.
Yeah, that would be fun. Because that's something. Because Luke did it in between Empire and Jedi.
Yeah, in
Ben's
cave.
Or maybe she just goes back and she's gonna have the green one. She just goes grab it.
She's
not doing it.
She flies back
She's-
there. It's like no one's gonna.
Basically,
notice if I
Rey's
just take
Rey's
this and go.
There's
lightsabers
going to
are
be a
just
porg sitting on it.
yeah. She just steals
Aghast.
Luke's old hand-me-down lightsabers. That's just
That's
her
true.
mo.
That's all she does.
Speaking just a real quick tangent for the fight scene. So I felt like I wanted to like the in Snoke's throne room. I wanted to like that fight scene, and I was just kind of underwhelmed by it. And I know we're not seeing the Jedi at the height of their powers like we saw in the prequels, where you get to see them do really cool, awesome martial arts moves and stuff. But man, this was just like a dull fight scene to me.
Usually at the height of their power to still be satisfying.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I was
fair.
more satisfied with the brief battle that we saw at the end of Force Awakens than this one.
That's fair.
I also kind of one more note on that. For me, I feel like the video game Force Unleashed really kind of set a new bar for what the Force is, and no movie can really get to that point. Because that's what I wanted Rogue One to end with. That's what I wanted not Ghost of Luke to be there and like use the Force to push over all
Tear
of
through
the
those tanks.
AT-ATs.
Oh god, what
Like not even just rip them apart, just like domino effect, have one fall and then just boom, 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 boom. But yeah, my prediction. For some reason, I keep having this idea of Rey and Kylo kind of battling for the next Jedi. Because you see the one kid with Force powers, and you assume there's more, and it's them. Rey is on her own again because she's always on her own at this point, and it's going to be them kind of competing for almost like the beginning of X-Men Evolution, the first 6 episodes of that, where it's like the Brotherhood versus the
X-Men.
Xavier Mansion trying to persuade which side they should be on, because they're both still gray.
Yeah.
And so it'll be hard for kids to kind of choose between them.
I feel like Rey might die. I feel like that's something we haven't seen is the heroes sacrifice themselves in the trilogy. Everybody's died in the subsequent stories when they're no longer relevant to it. No one's died within it. So that'd be something that would really shake it up. Even if any of the 3 people died, I think that'd be a way to sort of differentiate itself. Because like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda died. Only Jedi good guys died in the original trilogy. And technically Jimmy Smits. But but it's just like I want to see. I think that'd be something really interesting to see one of them actually fall.
Yeah, I agree.
I think she's gonna turn to the dark side. Kylo, seeing the fault in his ways, is gonna kill her out of mercy, thus bringing him back to the light. And then he's gonna start his own Jedi school, but then one of them's gonna turn on him. Then he's gonna go into exile. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Yeah.
He's going to start a Jedi school, which then becomes an attraction at Disneyland.
Like
God.
you
It
shouldn't
just
be
becomes
allowed
an-
around kids
big
after what you did to the
Galaxy's
last
Edge.
school.
Big giant
That's-
commercial for
That's
Disneyland.
actually something they're going to add in now into the Jedi training is that randomly they're going to deem one of the kids as evil and the trainer's going to try and kill him.
Great, perfect.
Yeah.
That's the final like that's the new thing of how you get your braid cut off.
Yeah.
Is you defend yourself from your Jedi master who will randomly try and kill you in the middle of the night. You're going evil.
Did you give yours?
No, it's as I keep thinking about it, it's to kind of go back to another point. It's like these 9 films. I feel like it should be, and I know Ben Solo is kind of a Skywalker, but I still feel like I don't know. I feel like he's like Skywalker light in the sense, and I know that Star Wars has got to change and evolve. It's gonna, as even it says in the film, you got to let go of the past and go towards the future, carve your own kind of trail. But I also feel like these 9 things should be about the Skywalker family. And then I was like, oh, then Rian Johnson's trilogy is really where you carve out what the new thing is.
Sure.
So it feels
Yeah.
like this to have, 7, 8, 9 kind of make this already. They're already kind of passing the torch throughout this. I feel like I'm really kind of losing the chance to see the characters that I was excited about seeing come back and really kind of resolve their story.
Yeah.
Not have them just be like ancillary characters to advance these next generation of people's stories. And if it would have been like their descendants, Luke's kid, Han and Leia's kids, or whatever, I would have been more invested with them because at least it would have.
It's still been Skywalker.
Yeah. That's my thought. I'm going to come back in a second.
No, I was going to ask if that's what you think will happen. That's what you want to happen.
No, that's my frustration. So yeah, I feel like I'm not going to get. For whatever happens in 9, I'm not going to probably be satisfied because it's not really. I feel like unfortunately with Carrie's passing, we're not going to get that sort of resolution. But I feel like anything now at this point is not going to really be a satisfying resolution for the characters I was so excited about when they announced that these new sequels are coming. Like, oh my gosh, we finally get to see what happens to Han, Luke, and Leia, and it's already been a letdown so far. So I feel like 9 will be kind of a whimper. So I don't know. I feel it's whatever happens is going to be even lamer than I think it's going to be. All right. Yeah.
All right, on
Happy
that happy
ending.
note.
Oh, I didn't get to
Oh,
say
you
mine.
didn't?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Well, now I have to come up with something good. I don't really have anything good.
Rose is going to come back and save the day.
What Rose is gonna get a actual good fully drawn character. No, I don't believe that will happen. I hope that they say a good goodbye to Leia. That they give a reason that makes sense in the universe. Do you think that would you put it past J.J. Abrams to be like, there's another Skywalker and he's a kid that brooms, he's a kid that sweeps?
Dear God.
Let's go back to
Would
episode
you
1.
would you
hope
put
not.
it back? Would you put it past him to be like, that Skywalkers are not all gone? It's this kid that has and it winds up like being that kid in the stable or some other kid. I think the point that was trying to be made in this movie is that like anybody can have the Force. You don't have to
Which
be a
is also
Skywalker.
what it was in the prequels.
Right.
Like for whatever reason, it became conflated that Skywalkers are the like Skywalker seems to be naturally attuned to it in a way that seems to be almost hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and you're
I guess
immaculately
I'm-
conceived with the Force.
As I'm trying
yeah,
to,
when you're
It passes
Jesus, when you're
down,
Jedi
yeah.
Jesus,
I guess I
and
mean,
the chosen one.
Would you put it past him to try to be like, well, there has to be an actual Skywalker, not a half-assed Skywalker in this 9th film?
How do you think they will remember Carrie? Would it be a photograph? How far into the film is it going to happen where somebody looks at a statue, like a monument, or like looks at a photograph, or is a nice painting in somebody's office? Like, oh, that's Princess Leia.
Tasteful
Cool.
throw rug with her.
Like it would be like a hologram or something like
Yeah.
that.
I think they will have a funeral for her within the first act, probably like the second or third scene.
Oh, that could be a good way to yeah, they're all there.
Let's get a super time jump, and we're at the point where the rebellion's already won, and it's just the next story. And
just
you
a party?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the giant statue in front of the new council. That's just a giant Princess Leia.
We're back in the casino, and everybody's
Yes.
partying their
Yeah.
asses off.
Bunch
Exactly.
of Ewoks are there. They're all singing Nyad Nyab, having a good old time.
All right, that does it.
Hang on, but
Yep,
before we wrap up, I want to mention one thing. We need to talk about Trevor's awesome video that just came
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Yes.
Tell the people
the
where they can
Cupcakery
find
of
it.
Doom.
Yeah, so opening up the same weekend as Star Wars.
See
Counter
both.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I made at Comic-Con a couple years ago. I sold an animated short to Nickelodeon, and it's finally been released. It's on Facebook, the Nickelodeon Animation Shorts page, an extension of the Nickelodeon Animation Facebook page. So just go to Nick Animation, and you'll be able to find it still there on the page. I imagine our episode will have a link to it in the description. Well, I write the description, so it will.
Better, yeah. You have to bribe
It's gonna be the only
yourself,
thing in the
but-
description.
But yeah, it's fun. It's been a wild ride for it to finally be out there in the world.
It's called.
Cupcakery of Doom, and as much as I was complaining about it having opening up against Star Wars, it has an homage to Star Wars in it.
Oh, that's great.
If you watch the explosion, like the way the explosion is done is supposed to like kind of mirror the Death Star
Oh,
that's
That's
awesome.
explosion,
funny. I didn't realize
like
that.
with like the the fair and the like brief second of silence and everything like
Yeah.
that. It's supposed to be like the Death Star explosion.
awesome.
That's funny. It's very cute
Yeah.
and very
Thank you.
funny.
Was the mayor, was that Kevin Michael Richardson?
It is Kevin Michael
Oh
Richardson.
my God. Oh,
Kevin Michael Richardson, Eric Edelstein, who seems to be carving a nice career playing cartoon bears, and Josh Fadem. They are my cast. They were wonderful. Yeah, Kevin Michael Richardson is like a legit voice actor.
yeah, he's in everything.
He's in everything.
He was the
He's-
Joker at one point.
amazing.
Yeah,
was.
he's wonderful. He's a wonderful human being. And so yeah, check it out. Cupcakery of Doom. My favorite part of this whole experience has been having to hear people say cheesebert.
That's such a good
Like
name.
have to like say and write the word cheesebert. It has been amazing.
Well, we're very proud of you, Trevor. Congratulations.
guys.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to bring up, because I know we love talking about comic book crossovers, is of course Disney and Fox are now going to be together. Just in terms of how excited are you guys just about what might lay ahead now that Disney has and Marvel has access to
Well,
the majority of their characters again?
Fox owns Buffy, right? Should we bring in the Buffy podcast?
I think they're waiting for us to get the fuck out so they can come in. I mean, we talked a lot about this on our most recent episode. I'd say that as a Marvel, especially an X-Men fan, I am very excited for this. I'd say in every other respect, especially as someone in the industry, it concerns me, actually. The consolidation is troubling.
Let's only dwell on the comic book aspect. Though.
Okay, like comic
Yes,
book,
yes.
it's amazing. I cannot wait for the X-Men to come into the MCU.
Well, and what a perfect time. Like as the original stuff is dying down, they
Yeah.
get this huge influx of like all their other amazing characters, like Fantastic Four, all the crazy like what are they gonna do after Thanos? Like who's the fucking thing? Galactus.
Galactus, Doctor Doom.
Doom. Yeah.
Doom. We can actually like after seeing how amazing Spider-Man was in Marvel's hands, after varying success with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, Julian McMahon and whatever the hell that guy is,
Toby
sweep them
Kebbell.
on sweep those motherfuckers under the rug and get an actual Doctor Doom in there. It's gonna be sweet.
No, it's gonna be, we might even get properly costumed X-Men.
Yeah.
But actually get the yellow and black Wolverine suit.
And a-
Chris is so excited.
Ooh,
over here.
you know
he's
what
doing-
I-
he's doing the Italian like mwah hands. He's-
All right, let me pose one question to you guys, because I feel like Frank has just a strong enough opinion, and I know Chris does. Do you want with Wolverine if he ever suits up, yellow blue, yellow brown?
Yellow blue.
Only if it's a story set in Japan will I accept the browns. I think you start blue, you go brown, and then you go to updated blue.
It just gets dirty, right? It's just
It's the feces of all his victims.
yeah.
Oh, gross. Kind of hot.
Well, it's
though.
the dark blood stains. We'll say that makes it that nice brown.
All right. Well, we did tell Buffy we were going to be done about 28 minutes ago. So,
Okay, well then, yeah.
So again, thank you everybody for listening. As the head of production at the Nerdist School Network, I would like to use to speak as this person for a second. I'd like to thank all of you guys for a wonderful year of podcasting. It's been great having you guys be part of the network. As I got to take it over this year, so thank you guys for being a part of this wonderful experience.
Thank you for having us.
thank you.
Yeah.
Are we
And
all
now-
fired? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I think this is
And
a preamble to a
so-
layoff.
Yeah.
I got you some watches. Thank you for your service.
Okay.
It's a nice
Let's-
watch. Thanks.
Let's do plugs,
Yeah.
Twitters and stuff.
Hi, okay, I'm Amanda. I'm the novice of the Novice and Frank. You can find me at Comic Book Novice on Twitter and Instagram. You can hashtag suggestions to Frank and I at using the hashtag the Novice and Frank.
I'm Frank of the Novice and Frank. I dare you to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. In fact, better yet, this is a great holiday gift. Just get a nice little box, write down my Instagram and Twitter handle, put it inside there in a nice piece of parchment, give that person that little gift under the tree. They'll thank you forever. And that's
never,
Happy Go Jackie.
Never look at Frank's Instagram if you're hungry.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it will drive you insane.
Frank eats food.
I know it's such
Frank eats
delicious
food.
looking food.
Yeah.
Well, we are at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Gmail. I am personally at Lordifer on all those same things.
I'm at CamDexter_adventures on Instagram, and please email us and tell us what we got wrong because we do that a lot.
Yeah, it's our thing.
And I am Chris Fimbres from the podcast of Two Worlds. You can find us on Twitter at PO2W_Flash. And you could find me at Benicio del Toro's personally owned cat house.
Nice.
Wait. That's the whole thing. Benicio del Toro's personally owned cat house is
It's a
your Twitter
long- it's a
handle.
long
That's
handle.
It's a long one.
Any spaces?
It's a long one. Yeah, is it underscores or all one word?
All one word.
Got it.
Okay. All right. Well, we always were hoping you would get a Twitter, so I'm glad you did it. And then you can follow me at Trevor Copter on all social medias. And thank you. We're back. We get 6 weeks.
I think it's Black Panther is our next.
Yeah,
one,
but like
right?
what
February.
we get like 2 months, 6, 7
I think
weeks
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
till Black
Just
Panther.
enough time to miss each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, how about that freaking Black Panther Avengers stuff? That made me even more excited for this movie to make me more excited for Avengers.
Exactly.
So,
Get that man a shield.
Yeah. Yes.
all right, that does it. Since it's a podcast of two worlds lit episode, 1, 2, 3 speedweed.
That's 1, 2, 3 light speed.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Light speed weed?
Light weed, speed weed?
No, fucking
Light. I think light speed
light
weed.
speed. Yeah.
Light speed weed. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Light speed weed.
The Nerdist School Network. For class and show information, visit nerdistschool.com.